is really not just a Lifetime Achievement Award, it's a transgenerational one. It's for studies that started when I was about 8 years old, studying the causes of chronic disease back in 1950, continued throughout the 20th century, and are now being carried forward by people working with me who are doing prospective studies like UK Biobank, China Biobank, that are going to run on into the 2010s, 2020s. And in the process, we found out lots about the avoidable causes of chronic disease, particularly smoking, blood pressure, blood cholesterol. We found out lots about what treatments work, and we're going to keep on doing this. If you go back to 1970, when I came to Oxford, about 40 years ago, then 1 in 3 people would die before they're 70. Now it's 1 in 6. Death rates in Britain have halved. Worldwide, the death rates of children have halved. It was 14% dying before 5, now it's 7%. Overall, things are getting better. But we've just got to keep taking the big causes seriously. There's only 4 big things in the world that have really got a lot worse in any big populations over the last 20 years or so. HIV, alcohol, places like Russia, tobacco in various countries, and obesity. But other than that, overall, the main causes of premature death are going down. Various infectious diseases are going down. Environmental hazards are going down. We're living longer. We're much less likely to get disabled or dead before we're old.
You've had a long career, as you mentioned. You must have had some quite big inspirations during your career, and you care to name any of them, and the importance of having mentors.
Well, I stumbled by accident into working with Richard Dole back in the 1960s, and then he brought me to Oxford in the late 60s when he went there as Regis Professor, and we collaborated together on studies of smoking and various other things, first in Britain and then worldwide. And we helped get smoking taken appropriately seriously. People knew the hazards, but they weren't thinking about the relative importance of smoking and other things. I mean, back in 1970, the cancer rate, the death rate from cancer that men would have had in this country was being increased by 150% by smoking. It was 2.5 times what it should have been. And that's decreased enormously over the last 40 years because so many people have stopped smoking. And I'd like to see decreases like that in a lot of other countries. Smoking is still much the biggest cause of premature death in this country. And the good news is it used to be 4 times bigger.
And are you optimistic that we might see similar dips in other countries such as Russia and China in the long term?
Russia, China and India are all different. The Russian government has recently started to take alcohol and tobacco seriously, very, very recently, and we'll see if that sticks. They've got colossal death rates from alcohol and tobacco, and they've just decided to try and take them seriously. Gorbachev did it for about 3 years and then stumbled and fell. Putin and Medvedev have just started to do this. We'll see. China is still deciding. There's a really good health minister who wants to take these things seriously. There's different interests in the Chinese government, and we'll see how it settles down. India, there's no sign of change. Indians aren't taking these things seriously. India has 1 million deaths a year from tobacco. It has 100,000 deaths from alcohol. They're not taking either of them seriously. So I think the answers are very different for different countries. But anyway, certainly, say Britain, France, America, these show that big reductions in tobacco deaths are possible. I mean, the main reason why we're only half as likely to die before we're old now as 40 years ago is because so many people have stopped smoking, and also because we've got drugs that work for vascular disease, breast cancer, and we're using them. So we've got good drugs, we've got good trials, and we've got people actually using things that work. But above all, we've got the decrease in tobacco deaths. And that's why a lot of people are alive at this ceremony now instead of being dead.
Absolutely. Well, look, congratulations. It's truly an achievement.
Well, that's all right. I got here by studying the bleeding obvious.